Welcome, I'm Ingrid Carlsen, and I am so very glad that you're here. Today we are going to be making these beautiful envelopes using some fabric scraps. So if you want to learn how, stay tuned. Today I'm going to be using these envelopes from Dollar Tree, I believe, and they're just these regular envelopes. I'm also going to be using this, which is just white glue with some water. I would say 2 parts glue, 1 part water, but it's more on the texture than it is the formula. So you just want it to be somewhat runny. This is like for collaging. And what I will tell you, if you make one of these, make sure that when you are done at the end of every session, this is like non-wavering, you have to do this, wipe the edge. And the reason I know is because I've had them stick together and you cannot get them open. And then the last thing we're going to need is some fabric, scraps of fabric. They can be little scraps, and we're going to fill up these envelopes with them. And then your sewing machine, if you want to sew at the end, it's up to you. Also, you're going to want another glue to, we're going to take this apart and then we're going to put it back together, so you might need a little bit stronger glue than this. Let's get started. Oh, I forgot to mention, you're going to also want a paintbrush or something to apply the glue. You can use a foam brush, that's a good option. I'm going to be using this flat brush, and I believe this is from Hobby Lobby. I believe that's their brand. And I'm just using something that has a synthetic brush head or bristles, just because it'll be easier to rinse off. And so don't use any of your good brushes, because glue tends to seep down into the crevices and ruin the brushes sometimes. So just be forewarned. I'm actually going to cover this up while we're getting started. And on this, I'm just going to take the envelope and start not breaking it apart, but taking off the edges that are glued. It comes off pretty easily. And I'm going to do a few of these. I have one that I did off camera already. Do 2 more. Oops, and that's okay. I'll just put that there. I'm going to be working on these kind of assembly style for 2 reasons. One, it's going to take away the need in my brain to have it symmetrical. And number 2, this is going to be a scrap buster, so we're going to be able to get a bunch of pieces at once. The next thing I'm going to do is gather some fabric, and I have my fabric right next to me on the desk, so I'm just going to pull some pieces and we're going to just start cutting them. These fabrics, look how sweet they are. They were in a bag, and it was just like strips cut like this, and they were from Dollar Tree, but from at least a year ago, if not several years ago. Those are those things that at Dollar Tree you just need to buy when you see, because you won't find it again. So I think that's good for now. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to just take my fabrics and combine them with their own pieces. I should have done this from the beginning when I cut them, but that way you know where you're pulling from. Start with my first envelope and just making sure I'm in frame. I decided to go ahead and do a voiceover over the first envelope that we do, because I think I was so intent on getting it that I didn't talk through most of it and I kind of mumbled. So instead I'll do this voiceover and kind of just walk you through my process. So I'm just laying pieces down. There's really not a ton of thought process, just looking at what looks aesthetically pleasing to me. Now, I will say that whatever you put on top, that will become your focal piece. Or in this case, I have mostly pinks, and then I have that green fabric, so that becomes my focal piece. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and just know that if you want your envelope to pop a little more, you can always add a contrasting color. On this envelope, I actually did the glue one at a time, which was not very efficient. And so I'm going to change it up on the next one, which you're going to see. And on those, I will talk through it and kind of tell you a little bit more of the design process. And this will be our last piece. Okay, so I'm now going to stick this over to the side so that it dries, and we're going to do another piece. On this one, I want to go maybe a little more with these tones, or like jewel tones. Oh, I love the edge. So something I want to note, when the envelope is closed, if you can think about it, you can have edges like this that come out over the envelope, and I think that that's really great. So I'm going to, on this one, I'm going to layer, let's do this one a little different. I'm going to pull the pieces out that I want to layer with each other. So I'm going to skip like all the bright colors. And here I can go back into my stash and pull some other colors if I want. So I think I'm going to look for some maybe more neutrals, more like earth tones maybe. I don't know if that's an earth tone. He's still off put by the trash guys coming, because how dare they? Who knew sheepadoodles were so overprotective? That's probably a little overkill with that color. This might be too dark, too much, but I am going to add maybe a little piece or two of it. And I wanted a piece that I could have kind of on the bottom to build up. Oh, I do have these. This is like a carpet, or not a carpet, tapestry fabric. So maybe I'll use an edge of this. Now, if you don't have natural frayed edges, you can take your nail and start pulling on the edge where you've cut. And you can do as little or as much as you want. With some of it, it might just come off like this might come out. But you can still see it changed the edge a little. So that's my, I just wanted to make sure where my top was. Since I have all the fabrics here, I'm going to go ahead and cover my envelope base with the glue. And this will allow me to kind of also work a little faster. And on this one, you can see right off the bat, I'm thinking about it much less. Also, it's the second one, and a lot of times once you keep going, and that's what's really great about assembly line creations, is that once you get going, you're going to keep getting faster. The first one's always the hardest, and that goes with everything, right? When my daughter was getting her first job recently, she was freaking out, like she wasn't going to be able to learn this, and you know, all the stuff you go through. And the truth is that after 6 months, you're a pro. You're like, oh, I could do this in my sleep. But the beginning is the hardest. And that goes with anything, but especially for creating. There's stuff where like I haven't touched a lot of art stuff lately, and so now I'm kind of in that state where I feel like, well, maybe I don't know how to do art. Maybe that's not for me. And it's just an insecurity that comes from not doing. And I'm okay with some of these pieces kind of not laying flat. It's okay. I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Also for me, if you've ever made crepes before, then you know you discard the first one. That's kind of how I feel. Like the first one's always kind of the trial, the let's see, it's okay if we have an oopsie with the first one. And the first one is really important though, because it helps us to establish what we like, what we don't like, or at least begin to. The greens were speaking to me today. Not literally, but you know. And you see this one came on a lot quicker than the last one. And I just looked down and saw this fabric. So yes, please and thank you. I'm going to allow this to live like this because of the cut was like that, and so I'm good with that. I would like it covered a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. We're done. We're going to call it done. Okay. Let's go with a little bit more tan colors on this one. Don't forget to layer in different sizes. And you can also decide not to use the front side of a fabric and use the back instead. We're almost like painting with fabrics. This one, if you've noticed, all of my fabrics are going in the same direction, and that's a style choice. You can do that, or you can choose not to do that. I think I'm going to add that because I know I said more brown colors, but I feel like that lives there. Like that needs to be there. Too pink. That's why I wanted to have the pieces cut out so that the glue wouldn't dry as quickly. but that's why we have more glue. And I also love here breaking my own rule. Well, not really a rule, but that all of my pieces were going one way, and then this one piece goes the other way. I think that adds so much interest to this. All right, we're almost done. We've already done 4. I'm telling you, this, once you get going, that's why scrap busting sounds funny, is so great, because you can make a lot of pieces quickly. And then I have a bunch to choose from. I keep going to greens. I think my green fabrics are at the top. No. Let's let's go with this color scheme here. This is where the last one gave me paralysis, like, oh no, now it's not going to live up to the others. And no, we're going to kick that right in the butt. We're going to tell it there's no room for that here. We are creating something beautiful. Whatever it is, whatever we create, it's beautiful. We're just building. And a lot of these fabrics are from a chindi rug. We've discussed chindi rugs on here before, and I will be doing I think I want that out like that, so let's put some glue over here. I will be doing a video where I tear one apart with you guys. Show you where to get it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and the last piece. I think something pink would be pretty. Not that, that's too bright. And I think this is going to win, and I think it's going to cover as well, because it's gorgeous and it deserves to be seen. If you love something, put it in the spotlight. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cute. If it has a little tab like that. Let's do it. And I'm going to allow all of this to dry. So once it's, oh, what if I add a little bit of, maybe, no, it takes away. Don't do it. Yes, I definitely need a little piece there. I'm going to do something a little different on this one if I can, if I didn't cut it too short. I'm going to put a knot. And stick that down. It like actually nestled in perfectly right there, so that's all I needed for my cue. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys here and then allow all of this to dry. We'll run it through the sewing machine and finish up. I'm thinking for this one, since it is already whimsical, we'll probably do that. I'm going to start it off by going around the perimeter. And I switched to zigzag there so that it would show up a little more on the white. Trying to think what I went the wrong way. Sometimes I get confused. It's like backing up a trailer, if you've ever done that. It's opposite of what you think it should be. So again, for any of those pieces, you're going to lift your presser foot, put it down, lower your foot. I'm going to leave that there. There we go. And you're already seeing it's kind of really cute. Imagine that little bundle of goodness. Before I show you all the envelopes, I'm gonna have you do a little quiz. Do you think A, I cleaned off my desk to film this from all the scraps of paper and the glue and all that stuff? Or B, do you think I shoved it very nicely out of the way and made little mountain piles? Answer down below. All right, let's get started. These are so adorable. Look at how cute. You know, there's times where projects just, you have an idea and it just goes, it clicks and it works, and that's this. So on this one, I added some decorative stitching. You can see here. And as I was doing it, I was thinking this would be a really fun project to even hand stitch. Added some decorative on just those pieces. So cute. And look what it's going to look like. Gives you kind of an idea. Shut. Ooh, so good. So good. I think, yeah, that's the top. This one was one that, and we just did straight across. So you can make this as easy or as simple or as intricate as you want. On here, so the glue is on here. You can see, I don't know if you can see there. The glue is on here and it's like making this stiff. But I decided instead of like running any other stitches and matting this down, I thought it looked cute like that. It looks like a little ruffle or a skirt. Let's look at this one. So adorable. Can you imagine this in a journal? So cute. So, so cute. This is another great use of envelopes if you are looking for a new way and you're looking for a way to cut up your chintzy rugs, cut up your little remnants of fabric. Now, just a little side note, what I would do differently. I would probably I'd probably pull out the fabrics that I wanted. So let's say I have 5 that I'm working on, and if I want them all to be the same color combo, then pull out the fabrics and then cut them as I'm working. I feel like because I pre-cut them, I have a lot of rectangles, and I think it would have looked a little more organic if I would have had, like on this one where we had strips and we had other kind of shapes going on. So I think that would be really good. Also, I think that I nailed it down towards the end. As you guys saw, I would cover the envelope with the glue first, then lay the pieces on, instead of how I did it at the beginning where I was taking one at a time. That's going to take too long, and you really don't need it to stick. You just need it to hold on to the envelope until you're ready to sew it on. So now, like I said, you can do any hand stitching. You want to do anything that you want to do to this now that's going to go through the paper, you're going to want to do before you put the envelopes together. I'm actually happy with the way these came out. So we're just going to put them back together. And I believe that the sides went in and then the bottom goes up. Now, because we have added a new element, you're going to want to take your score tool, the back of your scissors, something, and make this line a little more crisp. And then I am going to use my art glitter glue just because I know I can count on it being quick and holding pretty well. And I can control how much. You want it to be very thin. Just going to want to check the inside, make sure that you don't have any glue seeping through. And look at this. Fold that over. How cute is this envelope? Now you could also, if you wanted to leave the envelope open, you could add fabric up at the top, and you can always add that even after because you can still run this through your machine. But this is so adorable. I even see this as maybe being a journal, like a tag journal, but with envelopes. Super cute. Is this something that you would make? Is it something that is up your alley? I hope so. I hope it inspired you to make these. You know, I wanted to do this scrap busting series because sometimes we just don't have time to sit down and make a full journal. Anybody else agree with me that there's just times where, you know, some of my journals take hours and hours, I mean, longer than hours to make. And so this is nice to have just like little projects that I can make. And then when I am ready to make a journal, then I can pull one of these pieces out and then we can add it to them. That was Barkley. He just sighed very heavily because he agrees. I think Barkley's wondering who I talked to. I think he thinks that I have an imaginary friend. And you know, I have to tell you, the first one, although I was like joking and calling it like a crepe, saying that it's the discarded one, once all is said and done and, oops, and it is put back together, it is so adorable. Look at those little birds. These are so cute. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. I know you guys don't want to hear it, but I think it might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your love and your support, your encouragement. It means the world to me. It's what keeps me doing these videos, and I am just so grateful for each one of you. If you haven't been told today, you are so loved. I love you so much, and I will see you again soon. Bye.